So you may have noticed, or you may have heard, there's an election on Thursday. And someone asked me today, saying, are you going to tell us which way to vote? And I've never told anyone which way to vote on anything. I didn't even ask for people to vote for me directly. I talked to everyone, but I never said, and will you vote for me, and do that whole door knocking thing. Because I think it's very much a personal decision. However, when I did stand for election last year, one of my key pledges was that I would publish my voting record and tell you which way I voted in relation to that. And I did wonder whether that should apply to the general election as well. I cast my vote a few days ago and sent it off, postal voter. I'm a postal voter because I used to work on the elections, do election duty back in Warsaw. And if anyone has any theories or questions about the legitimacy of a poll or things that go on and conspiracy theories that you hear, go and get yourself a job on the elections. They'd love to have you, and it'll teach you a lot and just show how ridiculous those things are. I might do a couple of separate videos on that anyway. It's a mark on my head. Anyway, so how did I vote? Well, 4 years ago, or whenever the last election was, 2019, 5 years ago, 4 and a bit years ago, 4.5. That was very much a one-issue kind of election. It was very much the Brexit election. And my automatic feelings ahead of that was that I wanted to vote Green. I'm environmentally minded. I think vote should be for the future. You should try and think a little bit beyond your own personal experience, and we have a responsibility to wider things. But I didn't vote Green because of those issues that were going to be directly affecting our economic prosperity, and faced with the choices that we had in the local area within our constituency. I took the decision to vote tactically, and I voted for the Labour candidate. I can't even remember who they were. And then the votes came through, and Craig Tracy won by 20,000 votes, and I thought, oh, I wish I'd voted Green. However, this time I'm in a slightly different situation in that I actually know 2 people on the ballot paper. And I think a lot of the conversation in this constituency is going to be raised around 3 candidates. So I'm not going to focus on Green this time, or on the Lib Dems. And if you want to go and vote for those individuals and you want to make your mark there, I totally understand why you're going to do that. And I'm not going to give you any information. I know nothing about those candidates concerned, or about their campaigns really, to pass any great comment on them. And I think that both have got some progressive policies that will address some of the key issues of the day. I am going to mention 3 other parties that are ahead in the polls at the moment, although not by much ahead of the Lib Dems, I think I should be saying. And the first one of those is going to be Reform UK. I've noticed today that within the village, and previously within Curdworth, they've put adverts up on street furniture, which they're not allowed to do. The items of street furniture belong to Warwickshire County Council, and Warwickshire County Council do not allow its street furniture items to be used for political purposes. And they know this, and yet they've done it anyway. And they are official materials because they've got the imprint of the candidate on them. I don't know the candidate concerned. I am aware that he made contact with the carnival to try and have a stand at the carnival. And I understand that either him or his representatives there were very polite and understanding of the decisions that were made. However, the placing of items of street furniture, they know shouldn't happen. And so all of their bluster around electoral interference on behalf of others, it now rings even more hollow than it did before. I also have got issues in relation to things that I think are key issues in this election that aren't necessarily being mentioned. What is the plan for addressing the 4.3 million kids that are in child poverty? What is the plan in relation to education, rather than saying we're going to have a patriotic education? What does that even mean? You know, as if there's an education out there that does not got a focus on British values in it and on British history. It's ridiculous. What's the matter about social care? What are we actually going to do to address the fact that the Treasury is empty and we've got more and more people that need things with less paying in, and actually trying to dissuade those who want to come over and fill the million empty jobs that we've got from doing that. So I think that, you know, and what are those arguments based on? There's so many gaps, there's so many holes. If you genuinely, I understand that there's people out there who feel very upset with the party politics that are being portrayed today. Believe you me, I feel that, and I possibly tapped into it when I was as an independent. But if you genuinely want something different, vote for the Greens, vote for the Lib Dems. Don't vote for someone that's just an extension of what's there before, unless of course actually the policies that you know that they genuinely subscribe, that you subscribe to, in which case go for your life, do it, but be honest about why you're voting for them, and let's have that proper conversation, as opposed to via innuendo and hiding behind certain other things. Anyway, then we've got two others. We've got Rachel Taylor and we've for Labour, and we've got Craig Tracy for the Conservatives. I know them both, different levels in different ways. Rachel Taylor is also a borough councillor with me. We're often the last two in the chamber having discussions about what's gone on there before I do these other videos. Craig Tracy I know in his role as MP. I've referred some casework to him, and we've also had conversations in relation to HS2. There's one story that I want to relay, and it relates to HS2, is that there was a meeting that was called from a group known as the SMZ, which are all of the villages that are most affected by HS2. And there was an action that came out there that said that HS2 had to convene a meeting in relation to surface water in Attleborough Lane. A number of months after that meeting was called, HS2 said, we'll attend a meeting, but we don't think we should call it, because we think that there is it's not us. And they pointed the finger at Warwickshire County Council, and Warwickshire County Council pointed the finger at the Environment Agency. And the Environment Agency, who aren't normally there but happened to be there, said, well, we don't think it's us either. Then we identified that there was a vacuum in relation to responsibility to this item. And because the meeting needed to be had, I stood up and I said, well, look, someone's going to hold the meeting, and in the absence of any of you guys doing it, I think this should be held by the MP, because this vacuum of information might need it to be referred through Parliament or via the Secretary of State or whatever, and they're in the best position to do that, and they should be informed. And the MP had a representative there, and they said, yeah, I think that's something that we would do, and go and do it. And we said, brilliant. But the meeting was in relation to Water Orton, and because it was from the SMZ, we'd expected there to be SMZ invited, and we also expected the local representatives from the village to be invited. And the meeting was called, and we found out about it, but only by accident, because I happened to be copied into an email between HS2 and North Warwickshire about something else, and they mentioned this meeting. So immediately we got on, and by a number of different sources, we tried to get an invite. Both for myself as Borough Councillor and also for Parish Council and representatives in relation to HS2. And I lost track of the number of phone calls and the number of emails to report, which we were promised we'd get an answer back, and we never did. And at the last one I got rather irked, and I said, look, he's going to go to this meeting and he's not going to be able to represent Water Orton properly. And I got a very snarky response, going, hey, what makes you think that? And I went, because he's not been properly briefed. He said, we know how these people work. They're going to come back with their stock responses, and you have not got the local knowledge to be able to say, but that's not true. You said this, it's actually like this. You said that, we know it's this. You know, and lo and behold, is that we didn't get an invite, and the meeting went ahead, and that's exactly what happened. So I've written to the chair of SMZ, and I said, this was listed as an action. Can you please apologise to everyone who attended? But as far as I'm concerned, that action has not been dealt with. And it needs to be gone again, and that's going to be the case, except now it'll probably again be done by the MP's office, but the MP might be different. The other candidate there is so that's the Conservative candidate, Craig Tracy. I also noticed from the Coleshill Post, he said that we've got so many matters of successful casework to deal with. I've taken a number of pieces of casework back personally about my business, and from constituents, people who've come to my surgeries, and I'm not aware of any of them that have been dealt with successfully, and I just wonder how he's classified those, and whether there's a figure for unsuccessfully dealt with casework. So again, on a personal level, he seems a very personal individual, but I have voted for Rachel Taylor. And the reason why I voted for Rachel, well, let's talk about HS2. In complete contrast to that is that Rachel has acted since March as, May, sorry, as the North Warwickshire Shadow Lead on HS2. And as soon as she took up that role, and when she got nominated for election, she came to me and she said, right, what are your issues in relation to HS2 within the village? I've got a meeting with them. What do I need to be asking, and how do I need to be asking with it, and what are they likely to say, and what's my counter? So all of these points, exactly how you'd want it to be done, and fair play, you know. And she went and got it took forward. Now, admittedly, she's not in a position to do anything about that, but that's one of the reasons, and it just sums up everything that I've seen about her. Is that in borough council meetings, she represents her ward, and she does it well, and she does it very impressively. She speaks, she doesn't waste words, but you can tell the passion, and she gets her ideas across, sometimes quite complex and nuanced, in a very effective way. And I can't help but think that she'd do the same. The third is a purely strategic decision. It looks like that we're going to have a Labour government, and you do wonder about access to the corridors of power, you know. And Craig Tracy has had access to ministers in a way that if we'd got a Labour MP, they probably wouldn't. If now, however, we've got that converse situation where you've got a Labour government and we've got a Conservative MP, particularly at a time that they might be having to fill up a load of shadow cabinet jobs with 30 MPs or whatever, 50, 70, 90, 110, 134 or whatever, then I would say that I think that we stand a better chance with Rachel. So in terms of representing us effectively, in terms of making herself available, in terms of dealing with things not on a party political basis, but representing the people of the ward and representing their views and being accessible to them. Speaking personally, I know that she's someone I could work with. And I think that we're in a good place in terms of that relationship to go and take that forward. So I'm not going to encourage you to vote for a particular individual. I'm just going to encourage you to vote, because it's higher, because it is important. This is your opportunity to have your say for the next 4 years. If you want to vote tactically or whether you want to vote for your heart, I totally understand both those decisions. And if you vote tactically, make it count. Okay. Take care. Good luck. I'm happy to speak to you on any of the matters or answer any questions that you've got. Take care. Bye-bye.